Today, I want to talk about punctuating sentences with adjective clauses. In other words, when do you put commas around the adjective clause, and when do you not put commas around the adjective clause? Let's get started. The first sentence, the man who is our teacher likes to give homework. In this sentence, the adjective clause, who is our teacher, and you can see there's no commas around the adjective clause. In the second sentence, Dan, who is our teacher, likes to give homework. In this sentence, you can see I have commas. So in the first sentence, the man, if I say the man, you don't really know who I'm talking about. So for this sentence, the adjective clause, who is our teacher, identifies which man we're talking about. So in that situation, who is our teacher is necessary for the sentence to identify which man we're talking about. So because it's necessary, we don't put commas around it. In the second sentence, Dan, who is our teacher, likes to give homework. Dan is a proper noun. It's a noun that we have to capitalize. So who is our teacher doesn't really identify who we're talking about, because we all know who Dan is. So it just provides extra information. And because it's providing extra information and not identifying the noun, we will put commas around it. Also, when we read these sentences, our voice drops when we say the adjective clause when it's a non-identifying adjective clause or where it has the commas. If you listen, Dan, who is our teacher, likes to give homework. So you can hear a pause at each comma, and my voice drops just a little bit when I read the adjective clause. Let's look at another example. The city which has a lot of fun things to do is Kansas City. Which has a lot of fun things to do is my adjective clause, and it's identifying which city I'm talking about. So in this situation, which has a lot of fun things to do, that's necessary for the sentence, so no commas. Kansas City is a specific city. It's a proper noun with capital letters. So the adjective clause, which has a lot of fun things to do, doesn't identify which Kansas City we're talking about. It's just providing extra information. So in this sentence, we'll put commas around the adjective clause. Kansas City, which has a lot of fun things to do, is a nice place to live. Here's another example. The man who is our teacher likes to give homework. The man is not specific, so who is our teacher gives information to identify which man we're talking about. I could have the same sentence, but in the second sentence here, I can change the relative pronoun from who to that, and it has the same meaning. The man, that is our teacher, likes to give homework. In the third sentence, you can see I've used Dan as the subject, who is our teacher, likes to give homework. I have commas because it's not identifying which Dan we're talking about. And one thing I want to point out is when we use the commas for an adjective clause, I cannot change the relative pronoun. So I must use who or which for adjective clauses that have the commas, that are not identifying the noun. Here's another example. Kansas City, which has a lot of fun things to do, or the city, which has a lot of fun things to do, is Kansas City. So there's no commas here. Because there's no commas, I could also use that. The city that has a lot of fun things to do is Kansas City. But in the third sentence, I say Kansas City, which is a proper noun, so I have commas around the adjective clauses. And in this sentence, I must use which. I cannot change it to that. We can't change it to that when we use the commas for adjective clauses. One more confusing point with adjective clauses and punctuation is sometimes the punctuation can change the meaning. So if we look at the first sentence, the students who passed the test were happy. Who passed the test identifies which students I'm talking about. But in the second sentence, the students who passed the test were happy. We notice the commas. And the commas are telling me that the adjective clause doesn't identify which students I'm talking about. So in this second sentence, that means that all of the students passed the test. In the first sentence, just some of the students passed the test. So the students who passed the test were happy. That means some students were happy, some students were sad. And in the second sentence, the students who passed the test were happy. That means that all of the students passed the test. Here's another example. The workers tore down the houses which were damaged by the tornado. I have houses in the adjective clause which were damaged by the tornado. We could see no commas there. So in this situation, the adjective clause is identifying which houses we're talking about. And in the second one, the workers tore down the houses which were damaged by the tornado. In this situation, we see a comma, which means that the adjective clause is not identifying which houses we're talking about. So that means that all of the houses, the workers tore down the houses which were damaged by the tornado, all of the houses were torn down and were damaged by the tornado. I hope that helps you understand about adjective clauses and punctuating them. And please subscribe to my channel and write comments and like this video. Have a good day.